Hello, thanks for joining us and welcome to Plus TV Africa. My name is Felicity Ezewike. Acting President Professor Yemi Osibanjo and members of the Federal Executive Council are currently meeting inside the presidential villa in Abuja. Osibanjo is presiding over the meeting in the absence of President Muhammadu Buhari, who is currently on vacation in the United Kingdom. Opening prayers were said by the Minister of State for Environment, Ibrahim Jibrim, and the Minister of State for Petroleum, Ibe Kachuku. We'll bring you updates on that after they finish the meeting. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has frozen the account of the Benue State government. The anti-graft agency gave the order last night. This development comes shortly after Otom defected to the All Progressive Congress for the People's Democratic Party. Teve Akase, Chief Press Secretary to Governor Samuel Otom, confirmed to journalists today. Following the invasion of the National Assembly Tuesday, Acting President Yemi Osibanjo has approved the appointment of Mr. Matthew Sheifa as the Acting Director General of the Department of State Services. This was sequel to the sacking of former DG Lawal Daura, who was dismissed on Tuesday in the aftermath of the siege on the National Assembly by security operatives allegedly acting on his instruction. Here is a brief profile of the acting DG of DSS, Mr. Matthew Sheifa. The national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Uche Secondus, has called on the United Kingdom to expel President Muhammadu Buhari, who he accused of hiding in England to allegedly undermine democracy in Nigeria. He said that Britain should not allow its environment to be turned into what he called a haven for anti-democracy conspirators. Secondus said in a statement signed by his media advisor, Mr. Ike Aboyi, that the president left the country for the UK for 10 days leave to enable the nefarious activities they lined out against democracy to be executed in his absence. He, however, saluted the courage of the acting president, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, for sacking the Director General of the Department of State Services, Lawal Daura, adding that Nigeria cannot be ruled by cabals. Reactions continue to trail the siege at the National Assembly, and most recently, the Lagos State People's Democratic Party Publicity Secretary Taoreed Gani has added his voice. In his reaction over a telephone interview, he described the development as a dent on the nation's democracy. Mr. Gani believes that these are political gimmicks playing out due to the recent defection of the President of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, among other political actors from the ruling All Progressive Congress. He added that it is a desperate attempt to hold on to power ahead of 2019 primaries and general elections. Two commissioners in Akwa Ibom State who received Senator Godswill Akpabio at the airport in Uyo have been sacked by Governor Udom Emmanuel. The sacked commissioners are Victor Antai of Culture and Tourism and Ibanga Akpabio of Labor, Productivity and Manpower Planning. Mr. Akpabio, who recently resigned from office as the Senate Minority Leader, ignited a political storm in Akwa Ibom over his planned defection from the opposition People's Democratic Party to the ruling All Progressive Congress. A statement issued on Tuesday evening by the Secretary to the State Government, Emmanuel Ekuem, said Mr. Antai and Mr. Akpabio were sacked from the State Executive Council because of their reluctance to comply with good governance processes of government. The statement asked the sacked commissioners to hand over to the permanent secretaries in their respective ministry before the close of work on Wednesday. In a statement on Wednesday by the party's acting National Publicity Secretary, Yakini Nabena, the APC claimed that the President of the Senate lacked the moral ground to retain the position after defecting to the People's Democratic Party. They also reacted to the invasion of the National Assembly complex in Abuja by security operatives who prevented lawmakers from entering the premises on Tuesday. The APC noted that while they have some contention with the leadership of the National Assembly as currently constituted, the legislature must remain an independent arm of government. Two delegates of the People's Democratic Party in Osun State have filed a fresh suit against the candidature of Senator Ademola Adeleke in their forthcoming governorship election in the state. Mr. Olagboye Adedemola and Mr. Oyetunji Suredi filed the suit on Tuesday at the Osun State High Court in Osogbo over the testimonial and statement of results presented by the lawmaker to the Independent National Electoral Commission, which they claim were fake documents. They also dragged to the court INEC, PDP, the state chairman of the party, and the State Executive Council members. Mental health in Nigeria has been a major topic of discussion, but has not gotten a lot of attention good enough to tackle the problem. According to recent statistics, Nigeria has 21 million people living with mental disorder. The neglect to address their problems has a direct bearing in the growth of people suffering from mental illness. Social factors such as economic downturn, which paves the way for depression and in some cases suicide, are one of the many reasons why people suffer silently. Plus TV Africa's Amaka Okoye was at one of such events and now files in this report.
Following different media reports on suicide and depression cases on the high rise in Nigeria, schools, government parastatals and non-governmental organizations have stepped up in campaigns for a healthy nation and a call for action. Summer Camp Nigeria today participated in a walk calling the general public, especially children and young people, to choose to live.
The essence of today's work was basically to tell the government about the suicide and depression amongst young people in Nigeria, to educate people so that they can know the importance of their lives, so that they will stop committing suicide.
It is believed that there are different challenges that could make a person become suicidal or depressed, and in extreme cases leading to one form of mental disorder or the other. Sadly, this situation is not talked about most times due to certain beliefs and stigma attached to it.
A lot of people, associate mental health diseases or disorders as spiritual issues, and that's what we're trying to curb. We've come a long way as a group to push against this stigma, but there's still a lot more to do.
The Lagos state government has not been left out in the efforts to combat the war against such situation. Speaking to Summer Camp Nigeria, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, highlights the government's role to curb the menace through an all-round education system.
If you look at our curriculum, it is not new. It has always been there. All the children, they have need for one thing or the other. We have something that we call aptitude test. We conduct it every year for our students. We get their mental balance. We get their focus. We get their career of what they could and should do in future. So government is interested, and government is doing a whole lot of work on our children concerning their career development, mental balance, emotional intelligence.
The goal, however, is to have a safer society where such challenge will be a thing of the past. Amaka Okoye, Plus TV Africa.
We'll take a quick break. Stay tuned for more stories when we return.
That money we shoot every person that we know we can shoot. We don't let people die there.
You could have killed me for a long period of time.
Is that time why I carry gonorrhea? I first go hospital first, but it no go. Now I come make that mama.
He just pulled it, he pointed and shot.
What is the soul of a man?
They suffer too much. They suffer too much.
Issues around the Nigerian police, we have to tackle it holistically.
Nine confirmed Ebola victims have died since the virus resurfaced in the Democratic Republic of Congo this month. the country's health minister said on Tuesday. The previous official toll was 7 dead, with the 2 latest victims, like all the others, registered in the Beni region in North Kivu province, an eastern region with deep security problems, which shares borders with Uganda and Rwanda. 33 people died in an outbreak in the northwest, which was only declared over at the end of July. Senior Zimbabwean opposition figure Tendai Biti was arrested as he tried to flee to neighboring Zambia to seek asylum on alleged charges of inciting violence over the disputed election results on last week's election. President Emmerson Mnangagwa, Robert Mugabe's former ally, narrowly retained power, but the opposition MDC party has accused the Electoral Authority of rigging the results. Supporters of the MDC took to the streets on August 1 to protest the alleged fraud, triggering a brutal response from the military, which opened fire on the demonstrators, leaving 6 people dead. Meanwhile, the White House has announced a meeting between United States President Donald Trump and his Kenyan counterpart later this month, specifically on August 27. In an official statement, the White House said the meeting between Uhuru Kenyatta and Donald Trump will look to discuss ways to broaden the strategic partnership based on the shared democratic values and mutual interest. The duo will also be expected to hold talks in the area of trade, investment and security cooperation. Kenya and Ethiopia are seen as crucial to U.S. counterinsurgency combat in the East African region. Now, Sudan and Egypt on Tuesday agreed to enhance military cooperation and jointly control border and combat terrorism. Sudanese Army Chief of Staff Kamal Abdul Maruf said a session of joint military task talks was held at the premises of Sudan's Defense Ministry, chaired by Abdul Maruf, and the Egyptian Military Chief of Staff Mahmoud Hegazi. He stressed that security was a strategic issue upon which political and economic ties are built, saying there is need for building partnership and openness in military cooperation on regional, Arab and African surroundings. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll bring you update on the foreign scene and much more. Stay with us. Chinese investigators said they have recalled 40 vaccines produced by the company Changsheng Biotechnology, some of which have been sold abroad. The vaccine scandal that is believed to have affected hundreds of thousands of children in China is now spreading overseas, according to a statement available Wednesday on the National Health Commission's website. According to investigators, Changsheng seriously violated production and quality management protocols in making its rabies vaccine. Some batches are mixed with expired solution, and the date and batch number are not accurate, the Commission said. The Commission did not specify which countries the faulty vaccines have been sold to. And from Colombia, we hear the newly elected President Ivan Duque took office on Tuesday, pledging to unite the country and improve economic growth. The conservative political newcomer was elected in June after a divisive election campaign where he saw off left-wing rival Gustavo Petro. In his inaugural address, the former lawyer pledged changes to tackle corruption and invigorate the economy. The leader has also vowed to change the peace deal with a FARC rebel group. Former Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak has been charged with 3 counts of money laundering linked to a multi-million-dollar corruption scandal. He is accused of having received 42 million ringgit, that's about $10 million, from State Fund 1MDB in his personal bank account. Mr. Najib was arrested in July and has already been charged with breach of trust and abusing his position. The new investigation into IMDB began after his shock election loss in May. He has always denied any guilt and had been cleared by Malaysian authorities while in power. Up next, It's our business report with Edidiong Iwang.
This is Business and I'm Edidiong Iwang. Well, there have been mixed reactions among Nigerians concerning the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Now, while some have urged the federal government of Nigeria to sign the deal, others have said otherwise. Well, I spoke with Johnson Chukwu of Cowrie Asset Management, and he says the Nigerian government should sign the deal. He also believes that we approach election season, the federal government might not do enough to grow the economy.
It's clear that the government emphasis is now on political activities, on who wins the election. So ultimately, you're not going to see any material improvement in economic growth rate. We're likely going to see more of government emphasis on driving economic political advancement of each of the political interests. So what we'll see is that there are critical economic decisions that are required to restructure the economy. They're not going to be taken. Issues as it relates to the appropriate pricing of petroleum products, issues are relating to commercially reflective tariff for power supply. So these factors are not going to be of any importance to the government because they will impinge on the comfort of the citizens, and the government will not take any action that will impinge on the comfort of the citizens.
So there's mixed reactions concerning Nigeria signing the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. You know, on the one hand, you have the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry and some other organizations urging the federal government to sign because they believe that Nigeria will benefit from it. And then on the other hand, you have the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, I beg your pardon, another organization saying that if Nigeria signs this, it will become a dumping ground. What school of thought do you belong to?
Well, I believe the government should sign the African Common Free Trade Agreement. The reality of the matter is that we are the biggest economy in Africa, and we cannot shy away from competing within African space. Whether we like it or not, Nigeria is already a dumping ground. We produce close to nothing. The key thing for us is that how do we position this economy so that we'll be the center of manufacturing. We have the largest population in Africa, and the country that has that population is a natural market. So if we're a natural market, why should we be shying away from a trade agreement? The challenge for the government is that how do we build an economic structure that will even attract, including foreign manufacturers, to come and set up base and export other African countries from Nigeria, and not running away from the African Free Trade, Common Free Trade Agreement. The reality is that if we get it right with infrastructural support, if we get it right with policy environment, if we improve our ease of doing business and improve our competitiveness as a country, almost all the manufacturing activities in Africa will rather be situated in Nigeria where there is a natural market.
Well, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has commenced a full-scale investigation into the security breach that occurred last week Friday at Sultan Abubakar Sadiq III Airport in Sokoto. Senator Ali Wamako's visit to the state was followed by thousands of political supporters flagrantly breaking all security rules and gaining unauthorized access to the runway, taxiway and aron of the airport. NCCA spokesperson Sam Adurogboye, in a statement, directed FAN as well as other state and private aerodrome operators to beef up security to beef up security systems at their airports. While still staying on security breach in the airport, part of Frankfurt Airport was evacuated on Tuesday and dozens of flights cancelled after a French family of 4 got past security despite a positive test for explosives. Now, this led to boarding being halted and a partial evacuation of Terminal 1. The family were later found, questioned and allowed to travel on. However, German police spokeswoman said 1 out of the 4 had not fully completed security checks. While police did not clarify what had triggered the positive explosives test, but 49 out of Tuesday's 1,500 scheduled flights were cancelled because of the security measures. Well, that is on business news, but still to come on Plus TV Africa News is our roundup on entertainment and sport. We'll be back in a moment.
And in entertainment, Senegalese-American actress Anne Diop has been attacked for her character as DC Comics Starfire. According to her, and I quote, "I'm here to remind you that whatever ugly and negative thing anyone ever chooses to say about you is always a reflection and revelation of themselves." End of quote. You will recall that last year, former Miss Israel Gal Gadot was criticized for her race and body when it was publicized that she will play the role of Wonder Woman. It should come as no surprise then that Senegalese-American actress Anna Diop is at the receiving end of a disturbing backlash from fans of DC Comics' new series Teen Titans. Many have, however, come to Diop's defense, upholding the obvious fact that no actor would have naturally fit the role of an orange-skinned alien, and that the attacks were deliberately racist and not attempts to maintain the integrity of the character's portrayal. Renowned musician Innocent Idibia, popularly known as Tubaba, has reacted to the recent developments on the DSS siege, where all entrances to the National Assembly complex were blocked by DSS personnel. The 42-year-old reacted on social media by urging Nigerians not to be misled by the impeachment spectacle orchestrated by senior lawmakers, who he says have lost every sense of shame in their game of maneuvering. Last year, Tubaba pulled out of his planned protests to the National Assembly and the State House regarding ongoing adversities faced by the masses. Angelina Jolie is seeking a court mandate forcing her estranged husband to pay a major share of the costs of raising their 6 children. The Maleficent star's lawyer, Samantha Blade DeJean, filed new legal documents in Los Angeles Superior Court on the 7th of August, stating that Jolie's objective is to seek a court order forcing Pitt to pay a significant share of the costs of raising their 6 children. In the meantime, Jolie is also pushing for the judge to issue a final divorce decree this year so as to legally reinstate her single status. And that's it on entertainment, the very best in sports, right after this.
Hello and welcome to Sport Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko, and the local saying Enyimba caretaker manager Usman Abdallah has said that the People's Elephants are determined to pick at least a point when they face Malian giants Joliba in Bamako in match day 5 fixture of this year's CAF Confederation Cup. And the 2-time CAF Champions League winners, who lie 3rd in Group C of the Confederation Cup with 6 points, confront Joliba on the 19th of August in a potential make-or-break encounter. And Abdallah has said Enyimba cannot afford to lose to the Malians in Bamako, considering the importance of the tie to the advancement in the competition. And still on the local front, technical advisor of El Kanemi Warriors, Imama Amapakabo, says he needs at least 3 years to change the fortunes of the Maiduguri-based side and make them a formidable team in the Nigerian Professional Football League. And Amapakabo said, who led the Rangers to the NPFL title in 2016 after a 32-year wait, has seen his El Kanemi Warriors side struggle for most part of the current campaign, placing 13th on the league table with 29 points, just 1 point above the dreaded relegation zone. The former Enyimba coach, however, did not fail to rule out a move away from the club at the end of the season. And in basketball, with just over 6 weeks to the start of the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup 2018, the competition's mascot was unveiled on Tuesday at a ceremony in the town hall of Santa Cruz de Tenerife in the presence of Veronica Mesegua, Santa Cruz Council member in charge of sports, education and youth, and Jose Montero, event of the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup 2018, and executive vice president of the Spanish Basketball Federation. Tina is a lovely, colorful turtle shining in the limelight. Her name is a short form of Terefena, which means coming from a living in Tenerife. And that's all on Sport Update on Plus TV Africa. I am Udoka Njoko.
Thanks, Udoka. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube page at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. To join us again, my name is Felicity Ezewike. Thanks for watching.